Hey guys, it's Andrew from PecksMetalPicks. I just wanted to do a quick intro to this video and the next two that I'll be uploading because it's all part of the same Skype interview that I did with Shawn, the vocalist of Above This, a couple months ago when his new album Chapter 7 was going to be coming out. It's a little different than my normal interviews because I didn't plan, 10 questions that I was going to ask. We basically just sat down and talked for an hour about just whatever came up, whatever personal stories. It turned out really cool because you get to hear about some of the past material, some of the new stuff, basically just some inside stories behind the music and the whole process. So it turned out really great, and I loved how informal it was. It was like almost just hanging out and just talking about music with somebody who actually does the stuff that leads to the album being made. So it was really cool. So thank you to Shawn. I also want to say thank you to Nico because he literally saved this interview for me. When I first did it, my audio was super loud and Shawn's was almost so quiet that you couldn't hear it. So initially I thought that the interview was just going to be unusable and that it was totally messed up. But Nico actually fixed the audio for me and put in the backtracks from Chapter 7, which was really cool too. So thank you so much to Nico for saving me and saving this video. Huge shout out to you, man. Other than that, the video does kind of have a rough start because we basically just went live and decided to try to figure it out while we were doing it. So there's a little bit of feedback in the first like 2 minutes of Shawn playing the audio through his computer too. So it's like double the music going on, which I mean it stops like within a minute, but I know the quality isn't that great, but look guys, I mean I literally just had this idea and thought it would be cool to do a Skype interview with somebody, and Shawn was down and it was a ton of fun. It turned out exactly how I wanted it to. So if you could look past all of that, I think you'll really like it. Even if you're not interested in Above This, if you just want to know about like the music industry, I'm pretty sure there's a good a couple little nuggets in there that everybody will enjoy. And I know it's really long too. Maybe just put the tab off to the side and do whatever else you were going to do on the computer. Like, you don't have to watch the whole thing, but if you want to listen to it, that'd be super cool. Other than that, I apologize for my hair looking really stupid in the video, because that's back when I had pretty long hair, and I had just, like, had my headphones, like, pretty much holding it in place. So that was a mistake, and it doesn't look good, but we've moved past that. So, anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching, and, if you have any ideas of bands or people you want to see me do this with in the future, I'd love to know, because this really opens up a lot of possibilities. Basically, anybody who has Skype and is down for an interview, I'd be down to do it with them. So thanks again for watching, guys, and I hope you enjoy it. What's up, guys? My name's Andrew Pecoraro from PecksMetalPicks, and I'm here with Shawn, the vocalist of Above This. We're going to be listening to his brand new album, basically talking about it, hearing the stories, the influences, everything that went into it, and basically hearing Shawn's thoughts just about the whole process as we go. How are you doing, man?
Doing good, man.
Alright, cool. So I guess we can just jump into it. So this first song off the album is called Ascendance.
So you mentioned that this one, you can hear me, right?
Yeah, I can hear you.
So you mentioned that this one reminded you of 707?
Yeah, like, I don't know, for some reason, just the whole intro of it and, like, the speed and the power, yeah, reminds me of it quite a bit.
Yeah, this song was, I instructed Nick, my instrumentalist in Russia, that I wanted the intro to be almost as great as 707 was, like the intro of the album, but the first one that he sent me, it was a little bit slower, which I get, you want that, ambient build up and everything, but I was like, no, I was like, let's go all in, just boom, like there's nothing to build up, there's nothing to slowly gain into. I just want it all fast, speed. So it turned out pretty well.
That's awesome, man. Do you ever try to recreate the sound that you had on 7L7?
It's kind of hard. It's hard to do that because I'm now working with somebody completely different who didn't write 707. When I did 707, sorry, I don't know why that's fun. When I did 707, I recorded it with this guy named Tom. And Tom basically is in Switzerland. And after 707 and Titanium, he dropped off. So whenever I work with new instrumentalists and people who are collaborating with me on this project, it's kind of hard because they didn't write that album. Although they could come up with something similar to it, I'm constantly wanting to do something new. I understand that 707 was the first album that we released and it was everybody's favorite, but if we kept doing what we were doing on 707, we wouldn't be putting anything new out. It would just be kind of like repetitive. So
right. I was just listening before we were getting started. I was just listening to some of your older material, and you have been cranking out music for years now. Like last year, put out Tureen and Aliquid at the same time.
Yep.
And
I think you're pronouncing that the right way too, because I hear Aliquid all the time, and I'm like,
is it Aliquid?
No, yeah, it's Aliquid.
Okay, good. I kind of just winged it, so I'm glad that worked out.
Yeah, no, it's all good.
And I remember. Oh no, go ahead.
Last summer, I graduated from college, and well, the summer before that, I graduated from college, and I had a little incident. I had a major knee surgery, so I was put off of my feet for about 4 months, and I couldn't drive. I couldn't even walk, really. I had a really big knee surgery, so I was in a wheelchair getting my college diploma, and I had all this free time on my hands as I was recovering, and I had been in contact with this guy named Zach, who I wrote the album Pharaoh with, and also Aliquid, and he also produced Chronics, if any of you guys have heard that track, and he was writing me an album. And in the meantime, like I said, I had all this free time in my hands, so I started doing a lot of prospecting online. That's one thing that I've always been really good at, is discovering new talent, whether it be international or here in the States. I've always been really good at doing that. So I discovered my most recent collaborator, and his name is Nick, and he's from Russia. And at the time, I was like, I love your style. Let's, work on something here. 1-2 songs turned into a full album. So before I knew it, I was recording 2 albums with 2 different instrumentalists and producing both of them. So it was a lot of work, but I had all this time on my hands. I didn't have a job. I couldn't even get into my car to drive to work if I had it done. So I devoted everything towards the music. And I think Tureen was definitely people's more favorite album out of those 2, just because it had a little bit better quality and more technicality.
That's what I was gonna say. Is I think Tureen was probably my favorite, and we'll get back to Chapter 7 in just a minute. But I remember you telling me when Tureen and Aliquid were both about to come out, we were talking, and you sort of described them as distinctly different. I feel like one of them you said was a little more progressive, and the other one, I can't remember the word you used. But was that kind of cool, going for like 2 very different sounds on them?
Absolutely. Aliquid was more the album that I could kind of play around with. I had more of a say-so in that, because Zach is from the States, he's from Ohio, so we would communicate, and I'd be like, I'd give him a reference, like a YouTube link to a rap song or something like that, and I'd say, try to recreate something like that, and then transition it into this crazy breakdown. And so Aliquid had a bunch of songs that we just experimented with. We were experimenting between metal, trap, a little bit of hip-hop here and there, and it just became its own sound.
Yeah, we were joking about it a little bit before the stream started, with songs like Kraken, Rhino, Anthill, and stuff like that. I just feel like is fun to listen to. Like, if people take it too serious, then yeah, of course they're gonna just be like, oh, this is kind of silly, but it's supposed to be, right?
Yeah, it was all supposed to be an experimental album. Aliquid was one of those things where we were experimenting with the instrumentals, and we were also experimenting with the lyrics. As many songs as I have where I throw in funny, kind of just weird, obnoxious lyrics, and then circle back around towards the end of the song and throw in some like poetic, shit.
Yeah.
I think for Aliquid, a lot of the lyrics were kind of like that. They were part serious, part funny, part humorous. It was one of those funner albums to record. And Zach had actually sent me roughly around 18 instrumentals to use for an album, and we had to select which ones we wanted because we were only going to pick 12. So I had to kind of experiment with what songs sound better and what songs I could make sound better lyrically. So I think the set list that we had for Aliquid were the best songs that we had made. But Zach was also pretty self-conscious about his equipment that he's using to record, and I assured him, I said, that's completely fine, dude. If you listen to 707, like, I recorded that shit on a fucking laptop, like on a MacBook.
That was kind of one of the things that at least I enjoyed, though. Like, I hear a lot of people these days say, like, oh, this is so overproduced and there's just way too much production.
And you find a lot of bands are going back to that now. Like, for an example, not to bring them up, but Attila, their most recent album, if you listen to the instrumentals, they're nowhere near full quality of what they put out before. Everybody's kind of going for that edgier type of sound, that more home-produced kind of sound, I guess.
Yeah, totally.
I call it garage band.
I was just gonna say that. I feel like people miss the days of, like, 2006, 2007, when it sounds like your stuff is, like, recorded in a garage.
I had the full intent of doing that for 707. When I recorded 707, I believe I was 18 years old. I was just like this idle adolescent teenager who just didn't give a fuck about anything, and I thought it was hilarious. I thought that it was so easy for me to record those songs, literally from a click of the button on my laptop. It just, when it released and I saw the exposure that we were getting and the feedback and the reach that we were approaching as far as audience, international audiences and stuff, it was just like, wow, that was a joke. I mean,
yeah,
I'm glad that it had the success that it did, but damn, you know, so.
Yeah, so, alright, jumping back into Chapter 7 a little bit, even the people that I have shown, and a couple of, like, other metal Instagram accounts, I've seen post Ascendance and Kingdom, the first track you uploaded onto YouTube, and a lot of them have commented that the quality on this one is pretty badass. Not to, like, go against the whole, like, garage thing, but I personally think this is some of your highest quality stuff as well. Did that have to do with just the recording process, or whoever you worked with making the instrumentals more crisp?
With this album, Chapter 7, my